Thank you and good afternoon. I keep it brief, but let me say a few words about what we mean by a European industry strategy. The first thing we want is an integrated strategy. With this, I mean European companies are in a very and highly competitive environment. And the competitiveness of industry, of companies in Europe does not depend just on one or two factors like energy, innovation, digitalization, tax. All counts. And if we want European companies to be successful in this highly competitive global market, policymakers, European policymakers, need to look at everything together and not piece by piece. And this is sometimes a problem we face in Europe, is that policymakers look once at energy policy and then a year later on tax policy and then at digitalization. This is not an integrated strategy. We seriously need policymakers to look at everything at once and gives a concrete action plan which has to be implemented and not changed when you have new elections or a new government in place. So this is the number one. This number two, what we need as a European strategy, industry strategy, is a long-term vision. As it was said before, at European level, we have a target, 20% by 2020. We are about 15%. We are still very far from this objective. And we have to do much more to reach this objective. It will be difficult, but we have to do much more by 2020 to reach this objective. But we also need to look beyond 2020. Industry, European companies need long-term predictability towards 2030. And then again, we need whatever is agreed to be implemented and not be changed regularly. And the last thing we need, it's about concrete actions. It's about concrete reforms. And I will take just a few examples where we think at European level reforms are necessary. The first one is, it was mentioned already, is about energy prices. For many European industries in Europe, energy-intensive industries, the high energy prices they pay is really impacting their competitiveness. On average, in Europe, we pay twice the price than competitors pay in the US, for instance, and that is highly impacting their competitiveness. So that's one concrete action where Europe can do better. It's a European responsibility, it's also a national responsibility to avoid costly subsidies, taxes, and levies. The second one is the overall impact of administrative and regulatory burdens, which really impact the capacity of companies to do their job. And sometimes management, top management, spend more time in making sure that and of course this is important, and they have to comply with the rules, but if they spend more time in making sure that it's about application of the rules than about running the companies and managing the companies, then it can seriously impact, again, their capacity to be competitive on global markets. So this is the second concrete policy field where we believe more actions needs to be taken at European level. And the last one I would like to mention is about innovation. It was again mentioned a few times, but it is very clear that for European companies to be competitive, it very much depends on their ability to innovate. And the problem sometimes we face in Europe, and this is something I experience myself in many European countries, is there is a sort of a risk aversion. So taking risk, putting new solutions on the market, developing new technologies is sometimes seen as too risky, and sometimes the first reflex by policymakers is to regulate, to put some constraints instead of letting companies to bring their ideas on the market. So this, I would say, risk-averse business environment is very often hampering the capacity of companies to innovate and bring solutions on the market. And this is true, for instance, when it comes to digitalization, which is key for the competitiveness of industry. There are, of course, a lot of discussions about the job impacts. Here we clearly think this is a taboo which has to be broken. And we have clear views on this, that there will be a shift of skills, but the overall impact on jobs and employment will be a positive one. So I finish with this. There are just a few concrete examples of what we mean when we talk about the European industry strategy. As it was said, some initiatives have now been taken. Situation looks a bit better, but much more has to be done at European level.
Ευχαριστούμε πάρα πολύ, κύριε Affre.